Let's call a money huddle. Here to discuss this is Seth Denson, a business and market analyst. Also with us, Dan Geltrude. He's an accountant and professor at Montclair State University. Gentlemen, great to see you.
Hi, guys.
Happy Thursday.
Good afternoon.
All right, so what does China and Brazil striking in this deal to use their own currencies instead of the U.S. dollar mean for the U.S. dollar and the dollars in our bank accounts, Seth?
Well, I mean, it weakens the dollar, that's for sure. And as you think about a weaker dollar, that means imports could get more expensive over time. Helps exporters, but we import more than we export. So as we think about that, that could be a challenge. I think that this is more of an optics issue. You mentioned at the top, John, that China is doing everything they can to become the standard bearer of the foreign currency. Well, right now, that 60% of foreign currency reserves are held in the U.S. dollar. Almost 3% is in the Chinese yuan. But that is a movement that is shifting, and China is doing it fast. My bigger concern is the Belt and Road Initiative, which is China's expansive power and control. They're doing it in Africa, Asia, now South America. Long term, this is a challenge.
And you talked about the role China is sort of emerging on the global stage as. This month, as you know, Dan, China also brokered that deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia to resume diplomacy. Also, we should note, Iran and Saudi Arabia want to join BRICS, the acronym Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. This is the alliance there of those countries. Huge landmass we're talking about, Dan. And we already know the BRICS alliance, they've wanted to talk about having a reserve currency. Makes sense for China. The yuan's faltering. Russia, major upside because of sanctions. Even Mexico wants to join BRICS. Do you see this move now as them ramping up to that goal to replace and try to start replacing the U.S. dollar?
I think that's the outcome that they would like to have. But as Seth alluded to, you still have 60% of the world's reserve currency in U.S. dollars. So they do have a way to go before they're going to displace us in that position. However, if you look at what the trend is here, this is all part of a very long-term plan by China to ultimately replace the United States as the world's economic superpower, both economically and militarily. And they're certainly sticking to that plan. And it may take a while, but unless we start to respond to these things, well, then we let it happen and they take over. But right now, again, as Seth said, this is a lot about optics. It's not going to change a lot of things today, but it may in the future.
Well, just for a hypothetical kind of analysis, Seth, what would inflation look like if the dollar were not the world's reserve currency?
Well, again, so much of our livelihood is imported, and as the dollar weakens, and we continue to print. Let's just be very clear about that. We continue to print money at a rapid pace. Everything gets more expensive, so inflation continues to go up. And the whole idea of inflation is too many dollars chasing too few things. The way to solve the economy issues is that the government oftentimes prints more money. Well, that means inflation's even that higher. If that money is less valuable on the global sphere, that means they got to print even more of it, and inflation continues to grow, and round we go. It's like that Disney movie Up. Just all those balloons were just going up.
I was thinking of a different analogy, like a nice glass of whiskey, and you just keep pouring a little bit more water into it until it gets diluted.
Well, that's what I'm doing on a daily basis, John. Let's be very clear about that. Well, not more water. I'm actually taking the water out.
We're all waiting until after 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock like civilized people, right, guys? All right.
5 o'clock somewhere, they always say.
They do say that. Seth, Dan, great to see you both. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, gentlemen.